Hi, I'm James Vanatakis. I'm the Dean of Graduate Studies here at Western Sydney University, and today's video is talking about how to fail a PhD. So, the first way to fail a PhD is to pick the wrong supervisor. Picking a supervisor is the most important thing you can do when you begin your PhD, and it's actually that relationship will make or break your PhD. Sometimes people are attracted to the highest profile academics or academics they think are the best in their field, and that could be the right supervisor for you, but don't necessarily only be attracted to those supervisors. Pick a supervisor who wants to work with you in the way that you want to work, understands the project that you want to do, and also is willing to understand your ideas, especially if they're a little bit different. So don't always go for the highest profile person, go for the person who suits you the most. Second sure way to fail your PhD is to either avoid your supervisor, ignore your supervisor, or ignore their advice. A few years ago I found a friend of mine in a PhD lab hiding behind a photocopier. When I asked her what she was doing, she said she was actually hiding from her supervisor. This is not a good sign. It's important that you don't avoid your supervisor. If something's happened and you've lost a bit of momentum, rather than avoid them, you should actually seek them out and ask for help. The third way to fail a PhD is to not treat it like a job. PhD requires you to put in at least 35 to 40 hours a week. That is 9 to 5 every day, at least 5 days a week. And this is how you should treat it. Sometimes people think that they've got plenty of time, make appointments to catch up with friends for coffee or do something, and they waste time. This is actually a fundamental error that many PhD students make. So you need to treat it like a job, working 7 or 8 hours a day, and treat it as a professional would. The fourth way to fail a PhD is to wait for people to tell you what to do. Especially within the Australian context, the PhD student is expected to lead the project, lead your research. Don't sit around and wait for people to tell you who to interview, when to interview them, how to interview them, what research to do, what to read. Always seek advice from your supervisor, but it's most important that you lead the project and don't wait around for people to tell you what to do. Number 5 in tips how to fail your PhD is to leave all your writing towards the end. So you spend a couple of years doing all the research and doing all the interviews or doing all your lab tests, and then with a year to go you think to yourself, now I'm going to do my writing. Staring down the barrel of trying to write somewhere between 50 to 100,000 words in 1 year is almost impossible. So what you should do is make sure that you start writing from the very first day that you start your PhD. Never leave your writing to the end. It's a surefire way to fail your PhD. The sixth way to fail your PhD is to be precious, not take feedback, or actually aim for perfection. What happens is everything you write, no matter if it's a first draft or the 10th draft, it's always going to have room for improvement. When you get feedback, don't be sensitive about it. Look at it, take advantage of it, see how you can improve your work. So definitely avoid being precious. Being precious is a certain way to fail your PhD. The seventh big error that people make that leads to them failing their PhD is to never plan time off. You always need to reward yourself with some time off. Could be one night, could be a weekend, could be a whole week. But it's really important that you plan, in your timeline, you actually plan to reward yourself with a break and have some time off. The eighth way to fail your PhD is to aim too high or aim too low. That is, either make your project too big or too small. And this is where the advice from your supervisor really counts. When I started my PhD, I actually titled it Redesign the Global Economy. Probably a little bit big for a 3-year project. So it's really important that you actually get the scale and the size of your project right. Aiming too high or aiming too low will mean that you're definitely going to struggle to complete your PhD. The ninth way to fail your PhD is to not discuss potential examiners with your supervisor. And this is really good advice from the mighty thesis whisperer. Within the Australian context, you cannot pick your examiners, but you need to discuss them with your supervisor. So it's really important that you identify potential examiners that you think would understand the aims of your project and will mark it in the spirit in which it's written. So that's it from me, 9 tips on how to fail your PhD. Please avoid them, and I'm sure you'll do really well. Good luck, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye now.